What is up? We are here at the Intel Extreme Masters. You guys having fun? I was incredibly underwhelmed by that. Can you try that one more time? Are you guys actually having fun? Make some noise.
All right, that's better.
All right, that's good. That's much
I was about
better.
to get up and leave, Tasty.
I know, I was like, wow, I don't know if anyone's watching. All right, so we got a PVT, as was said before. We got inori against PuMa. Artosis, your thoughts?
This is going to be a really good one. You know, Inori and PuMa are both really big on the foreign circuit. They travel around a lot to these different events, but historically, IEM is a really great event for PuMa, and he's got great TVP. I have to give it to him.
Yeah, I got to agree with you. You know, there are certain players that just play, for instance, in Korea, only focus there. Other players, they go all around the world. It takes a lot of energy and stamina, you know, to get on an airplane, go that far. Then you come down to an event like this, and it is a marathon. Yeah. And by the way, if you want to know more about Artosis and myself, you can follow us at the GSL. It's at golmtv.net. Do we have any viewers of that out there? All right, can't tell. Can't hear with these headphones on, maybe some. But anyways, that is the most competitive StarCraft 2 tournament TV show on the planet, so definitely check that out. Of course, these two guys, though, here, very talented. You know, we got a Korean and a non-Korean here. PuMa, so solid. He was one of the first guys to go onto the international scene and stay there.
That's right, man. He is just a talent from StarCraft 1. He was one of the best practice partners that wasn't really winning on TV back in the old StarCraft 1 days. Switched over to StarCraft 2, started showing a lot of great games. EG picked him up, and now he's won so much money, so many tournaments. He is all over the place.
Yeah, he's a very solid player. I would say he's not one of these more robotic players that we see who are copying somebody else's style. He really has his own way of playing the game. He has for a while. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he's got to offer here.
Well, you know, his opponent here, Inori, fans of IEM may not have seen him as much, but he has been around a lot, and I'm sure he'll be to a lot more of these. A much older player, and in fact, he's a player that has had a lot of really good PvZ victories, but his PvT, we haven't seen him really consistently beat players the level of PuMa.
Yeah, you know, I feel like Inori here might be a little bit of the underdog. We don't see as much of him, but that doesn't mean he isn't solid. TSL, a great team out in Korea.
Certainly.
You know, for those of you guys watching, these players, they just stay in these team houses. So you got maybe a dozen guys. They all live together. You know, they sleep in bunk beds and train together. And it is, it's amazing. Like to see what happens. You get like a team like that. They're all trained, share strategies, and that's really how you make an esport. Is develop teams and they get sponsors and stuff like that.
And in fact, PuMa used to be a member of TSL. You know, this is a team that breeds some of the best players in the whole world, who then go out and start crushing in the foreign tournaments.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's happened time and time again. You know, PuMa, Alive. Inori in this case, you know, Symbol, a lot of great players come out of there. So, but these two weren't on the team at the same time. So I don't think we'll see the same types of mind games that we might see between two players that actually live together.
And speaking of the teams and this whole dynamic, both are coached by the same coach for a bit of time, Coach Lee. And yes, if you're out there right now watching and you're saying, what, they even have coaches? Yes, they do, that manage their diets, that manage, you know, all right, okay, you're doing the strategy too much, manage their training hours. It's insane.
Yeah, and he's one of the best ones out there. So the first map that we're going to have this on, it looks like it's going to be Entombed Valley. Now this map, it's kind of interesting because you can take that third base so quickly as Protoss. Of course, Terran could as well, but really what you want to look for in this matchup is how easy is it for Protoss to take the third base, the fourth base, etc. That's really going to come into play here. Yeah,
absolutely. Third base, very easy to acquire no matter what your race is. But yeah, absolutely, the fourth base especially can be quite a handful. Definitely one of our, I think I would say, one of our more turtle-friendly maps. And by the way, guys, it looks like it's time for the first PVT, the first game that we're going to be casting here. So let's make some noise. All right, now I'm always curious when I get to go to these live events and see who people are actually rooting for, you know, who's the favorite. If you're supporting PuMa, the Terran player, give it up for PuMa. Meanwhile, on the opposite side of the map, in the bottom right, if you're a Protoss fan, if you're an Inori fan, make some noise for this guy.
All right, so here we go, Tasteless. They are, of course, cross spawns here. And PuMa, stylistically speaking, has become pretty well known for the 1-1-1 build. He really, in the past, has utilized that to great success. You know?
Now, Artosis, explain to our audience the 1-1-1 build.
Well, that would be a barracks, a factory, and a starport. And realistically, you can add additional barracks into it, and it's still pretty much a 1-1-1. But it's a one base all-in where you get a lot of different units that have great synergy, like Marines, tanks, Banshees, and maybe a Raven mixed in there. And it's just very hard for the early Protoss army to stop. But at this point, the 1-1-1 not nearly as good as it used to be. So I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't exactly go for that build.
All right, we got a barracks placed over here outside the main entrance. Now, occasionally what happens is the probe, which we see scouting here, will actually, if you can follow my screen, move up this way, up the ramp, and normally the barracks is placed right around here. So he's gonna look at that and say, what the hell? I think maybe it's it's a hidden barracks, maybe outside my base, somewhere else on the map. In fact, PuMa just trying to be a little bit deceptive, forcing the probe to scout a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly. And in fact, sometimes you brush by that area like, oh, is that a command center? If you don't look at it too heavily. But in fact, no, it is that hidden barracks. And it looks like that's really all it's meant for, is to be a little bit scary. You know, if Inori's going for a Nexus first or something, he might get scared and say, oh, this is, you know, am I being cheesed? Is there a proxy barracks? What is he doing here?
Yeah, absolutely. Now we have a pretty late scout here from PuMa. PuMa going to go ahead and move out now. It looks like he's going to go cross spots location. So he's going to get there right away.
That's right. And the probe, as we see, looking for that barracks. And a Marine is going to come up first. So right now, he doesn't really know how many barracks there are. He's going to assume, oh, this is probably just one hidden to scare me a little bit. But for all he knows, there could be a second barracks down there.
And as you can see, here's that barracks that he can't, there's the barracks that he can't see. Here's the command center now, being planted.
Yeah. He did see that there were, in fact, no gases taken, so he can now know that it's either going to be some sort of Marine attack or the fast command center, and very much most likely it should be the command center.
Now, you know, from Inori here, we can't glean a ton of information until he shows us the tech. But do you have any predictions from here on out, Artosis? What is Inori going to do?
Well, he's using Chrono Boost on a Stalker right now, so I would say he's just going to go ahead and expand. You know, if you're going to do a quick attack, you're more likely to Chrono Boost that Warp Gate up a little bit. You know, a single Zealot and a single Stalker, or two Stalkers in this case, rather. You know, you can put on some nice pressure, but against a quick bunker, it's not really going to do that much.
All right, here we go. He's moving in now. Zealot taking some damage, and that was basically a failed maneuver there.
Yeah, it looks
by Inori. Since, you know, the Zealot does not heal ever. Shields do, but the HP doesn't. So a little bit of a blunder there by Inori.
You know, the one thing he did get was to see that PuMa is in fact going for that command center, and that this is not some sort of fake out build. So that's a pretty good thing for him.
All right, probes being rallied over here to the minerals. And the second assimilator is now completing. Next is about halfway done. And we have the tech lab and soon a reactor on the way.
Yep, looks pretty standard here from PuMa so far. In the meantime, Inori also playing quite standardly, getting his second gas and going up to 3 gates. Could put on some pressure if he wants, but doesn't necessarily have to. And we should expect to see a robo from here. And in fact, just as I say that, the robo does go up. So both these players going for just about as standard as you can get right now.
Yeah, very middle of the road. If you want to steal a build order, if you want to copy something, you're trying to get better StarCraft, these are definitely the builds to do it with.
Yeah, that's so true, Tasis. This is what people practice. So anyways, we do have the factory on the way. And the first engineering bay is already finished as well. So I want to see that +1 starting up. It looks like, you know, as far as the standard part of PuMa's build goes, there's a few ways you can do it. Later upgrades, quicker upgrades, you know, there's just slight variations. And what he's showing right now is more of the Marine King Prime style, where you go for that very quick +1 and stim.
All right, Stalker's coming up here for a poke. And PuMa's Marine's really nicely controlled there. Putting that Stalker in the red, only 1 Marine killed off. A little bit of a trade.
That's right. And we do have a double gas going up, as well as a Twilight Council and a Forge. This is pretty interesting for Inori, because when you get the double gas really quickly at the expansion, oftentimes that says, okay, I'm going Colossus, but that's clearly not the case here, getting that Twilight and the Forge. So it looks more likely like he's going to go into a high Templar tech.
Now, if this SCV gets out, oh, okay, no. Inori spots it. That's the whole point of these SCVs being there. Or these stalkers rather being there. He wants to make sure that no SCVs can get out, because that way, basically there's no, well, as I say that, one SCV scout's in there. He wants to make sure there's no way to check for the third base. He wants to keep him in the dark. He wants to force him to use scans instead of landing mules to gain his intel.
That's right. Well, Blink is actually on the way, as well as +1. That's something I really didn't expect here. This is a really cool build by Inori so far, to go Blink and +1 armor after a quick robo. Now, the robo, obviously, at this point, just for observers. But when you go for very quick, fast Blink, oftentimes you see attack, because armor is not as useful. Armor pairs up much better with Zealots with charge. So it's hard to say exactly what his plan is at this point.
Do you think it's possible he's just doing the wrong move here? I mean, I totally agree with you. Armor tends to pair up for the Zealots, attack for the Stalkers, because the Zealots are basically there to be the sponge for the damage. But I don't know.
Well, now we see what he's actually doing. Throwing down that robotic support bay. He's going for the quick Blink just to stop drops dead, so that he can go Colossus and not really worry about his mobility.
Do you think there's a chance for a 2-base timing here, or do you think he's going to just expand naturally to the third base?
Well, it definitely looks like Inori's going to be going for 3-base no matter what. PuMa as well, making that third command center. So this is going to turn into a much longer macro game, unless someone messes up pretty badly.
All right, he's got an observer over here to spot for this army, so he will see what PuMa's doing. PuMa was really just checking to make sure there's no command center right there. Now he's going to move forward just slightly. He's got to be careful. The especially with Blink about to complete, sentries making force fields, and then if he tries to pick up with the medevacs, the Marines, he can blink on them with the Stalker, so it's very scary. PuMa may be in some trouble here.
Oh, and PuMa is stimming forward. He's being very brave right here, Tastes. Ooh, a nice pickup there on that Stalker. Every little thing you can kill for no loss is great, and PuMa just did a good job doing that.
Taking out the Marine, occupying this location. He should be taking his third base soon.
That's right. Now we do have +2 armor and a Colossus on the way here for Inori. Still no third Nexus going up, but it looks like it's about time for that. We see with PuMa, though, he is going to go right into Vikings. He knows what's going on. Seeing that many Stalkers, that always means Colossus is on the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me check the unit count here. Still no Vikings. 2 about to pop out, but do you feel like he's a little bit too behind Artosis?
No, I wouldn't say so. This is pretty okay timing for him. You know, he's made it up to 6 medevacs before he had to start Vikings. And that's pretty good. You can't really complain about that. You know, a lot of Terrans nowadays are liking more medevacs. You have 10, 12 sometimes. But to have 6 out before you have to go Vikings, pretty decent.
All right, the third command center is going to land here. That Zealot was there, so he would have to be killed before he could actually drop it there. Meanwhile, this Nexus is almost done. So roughly the same economies. In fact, as you can see up here, 112 supply to 112 supply. So they're pretty neck and neck right now.
That's right. Everything just looking like it's going to go to the extreme late game here. We have PuMa just macroing up. He's getting, you know, plenty of Vikings, getting that +1 Viking attack even. The double forge for Inori, getting all of his upgrades. A really Colossus-heavy army as his third Nexus finishes up. And you know what? It's neither of these players really have an army that can kill each other. They can do little bits of harassment, little pokes here and there, especially PuMa, but nothing really big should happen. In fact, I want to see if they're just going to mass up to the point where they can kill each other, or is someone going to go ahead and try to take a 4th base, which can be a lot harder on this
map.
All right,
PuMa, we're going to find out if he's actually going to run in here in a second. It looks like he's probably going to stim this Marine and just run up. Trying to get some information here. You can see a preemptive force field, not necessary. Meanwhile, nice observer placement here to get this drop that's going to be incoming very soon. So basically what he's doing, he's keeping his army out here to keep the Protoss on his toes. Meanwhile, this drop is going to come in. Does he have vision of this? He does. So actually, Inori is very privy to what's going on so far here as far as PuMa's playbook.
That's right, and PuMa's unit movements are great so far. He just keeps running back and forth, trying to catch what he can, but Inori is countering it perfectly, just keeping exactly the right units in exactly the right spots. But now he has all his Stalkers over here, and PuMa's starting to run up a little bit more. The Vikings waiting for the Colossus to walk through that thin hallway, and in fact, PuMa's picking off a good amount of units here, and this drop is going off in the main base.
All right, so the drop does land. Protoss gonna have to split up his army. Meanwhile, it's doing a heavy amount of damage here, picking up, trying to escape. Will he get these medevacs? Medevacs in the red. Meanwhile, down here, going into the main, a good amount of Stalkers targeting down the medevacs here, but a lot of probes being killed.
That's right. So far, 14 probes have been killed. These Marines doing a great job in the main base. In the meantime, those other medevacs are being picked off by Stalkers chasing them down, so he's gotten both of those. But PuMa has hurt his economy quite a bit, and at the end of that, 17 probes are killed. But you know what? He killed off a decent amount of PuMa's army here. So Inori, we may see push across the map and at least do a counter poke.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what we're going to see, Artosis. A lot of trades there. I feel like PuMa would have been more on top had he not lost those medevacs. I mean, that was unfortunate. He did the damage, drew the army down to this location right over here. Meanwhile, this drop came in here pulling the Protoss back. But yeah, the moment he lost those medevacs here, bad news.
That's right, Tasis. Well, Inori continuing to make Colossi. Right now he has 2, the third one about to pop out. His upgrade's pretty good with 1 attack and 2 armor. Whereas PuMa, sitting at home very defensively right now, is in a little bit of trouble because he lost all his medevacs during those drops and battles. So,
and, you know, here's why that's so bad, Artosis, is once you lose those medevacs, or do you stop making Vikings? It's a tough situation. The Vikings are the only way to stop the Colossus over here from, you know, just wrecking your infantry army.
Yeah, you know, once you lose those medevacs, it gets so ridiculously hard to actually get them back up, especially against the type of army Inori's making. Look how Stalker heavy it is. That's going to help kill off Vikings very quickly, which means he needs to continue to build Vikings. He really, at this point, I wouldn't be upset if PuMa added on, you know, another reactor on his second starport.
Oh, that's a great point. Also, we got more gateways coming up here. Is he going to actually expand here? No, I thought there was a probe on the minimap that's in fact the Colossus.
Yeah, that Colossus
I don't know what
doesn't know how to build a Nexus. I'm not sure where he's going.
I don't know where he's going with that, but he's got to be careful.
He's going to guard that area, Tasis.
I guess so. Meanwhile, we got the army here of PuMa heading southbound, moving across the map. A high chance we're going to have an engagement. 2 medevacs, but remember, for the amount of hit points we see here, that's a lot of units to heal. So he's got to be very you know, frugal with his stims.
That's right, and he is pushing forward. He has a lot of Vikings. He's trying to rely on that to kill off the Colossus. Don't forget, one Colossus will not take part in this battle because it's kind of off to the side. You know, it looks like Inori just completely lost track, and that could be a game changer here.
Nice defensive force field. Now, okay, now he's suddenly figured out. He's suddenly figured out that his Colossus is in the middle of nowhere now.
Oh, okay, good.
And I think PuMa, I was going to say, I thought PuMa smelled blood in the water and was going to go kill it, but instead he's returning home. So well, perhaps PuMa didn't catch on to that.
You know, it's a very expensive unit. Good for Inori that did not occur. Both players really filling out their upgrades right now, Tasis. PuMa just finishing that +3 attack, getting the +3 armor and +2 for his Vikings. Meanwhile, Inori, he's got 2 attack and 3 armor, getting plasma shields in the last attack as well. This is turning into one of those crazy max versus max games. It really
is. Looks like we're going to have an engagement. We're at the boiling point here. They can't even make, as you said, any more units. They're capped right now. And the Nexus is on the way here. So I think he might actually stay here, set up a nice little concave, and wait for PuMa to try to leave his base. PuMa in a very nice defensive posture here. He's got about 4 ghosts right over there. Meanwhile, Inori coming in here, trying to deny that 4th base. Is PuMa going to try to engage?
Oh, we'll see. PuMa coming out. He needs to at least save the command center, and he does that, forcing back Inori's army. Now, Inori is starting to mix in High Templars and Storm, so PuMa's got to be very careful with these EMPs. And here we go. He is moving forward and letting a few Zealots die so his Stalkers could get away. Good choice there by Inori.
All right, so we got an observer over here to spot in case PuMa comes around. It looks like he very well might. And it looks good. He's going to try to snipe these ghosts and then blink out.
Oh, but he does lose a lot of Stalkers there. Not really killing off what he wanted to. You know, it's really hard to kill ghosts. They have so many hit points with medevacs over them and +3 armor. They take a while to die to Stalker snipes, that's for sure.
They really do. All right, so we have a sensor tower over here. He doesn't want to have anybody run around him. This is a pretty open map, so you can definitely be, you know, outmaneuvered. Meanwhile, it looks like PuMa maybe going for an engagement here. Is Inori ready? Going for this pylon to unpower at least 1 cannon.
Trying to pick off as many High Templars as possible, as well as some storms and feedbacks going off. They both got to be very careful. Either army could die in the blink of an eye here.
All right, storming on the medevacs. Very smart move there. You know, these cannons actually getting in the way of the army, you know, having any fluid movement here. And we have another engagement here.
Oh, some nice side storms going down there. The Ghost moving forward, and the Stalkers blink ahead, taking out the Ghost, and now targeting out Vikings. 3 Colossus still remain, and it looks like inori will be able to clean up this attack by PuMa.
Really nice. Chasing inori, PuMa rather, all the way back over here. Only 1 empty medevac remains. Perhaps I spoke too soon. No, the medevac will get out. Now is the moment for inori. He needs to go up to this location with the planetary and the 2 complete command centers and deny.
Well, I tell you what, this army is just too scary for PuMa to really deal with right now. Look at these supplies, 181 to 125. Inori knows he's in a great spot right now, and PuMa's going to have to be very careful and really utilize that planetary fortress to defend against this attack.
All right, he split up the army, and I don't understand why he did that, but he's got to be careful. He has to engage like right now, or he's going to lose that window of time.
Well, yeah, that window is closing as PuMa macros right back up. You know, he's making 3 medevacs and a couple Vikings at a time here. Still making a ton of Marines and Mirages as well, but inori is going for it. He's pushing forward. He has a lot of Archons.
He might try to barrel up the ramp here. He's really trying to push PuMa, and it looks like successfully so into this small area. The Colossi can do so much damage, but no, the Marines and Marauders and Ghosts managed to move out again.
Well, right now, inori still in a great spot. He's got about 3K, 1K in the bank. He's got his 5th base going up, and his army still a little bit better than PuMa's. But PuMa is catching back up, and PuMa is floating command centers around. So if he just stays alive for a bit, if he can repel inori, then PuMa's back in this game.
All right, nice storm there, forcing the Terran to back up. Meanwhile, Zealots hitting the planetary. Can they get it in time?
Oh, they're trying, but the SCVs are repairing. In the meantime, all of inori's army coming up, and PuMa has nowhere to micro to right now. He is trapped in the back, really relying on that planetary to help him hold on, but with 4 Colossi left, I don't think it's going to be possible.
And I think you can even see it in PuMa's face at the bottom right side of our screen. He knows he's in trouble, as there's really no way to recuperate from this. The Colossi, the Zealots, the Stalkers, the Archons, everything too much. And that's going to be it for game number 1, GG.
Wow, really great play by inori. You know what? He held on. He defended everything that PuMa did. I have to say, when PuMa actually, he did that one attack down at the bottom and just kind of lost everything, that double-pronged attack, and then the second one at the 4th base, a little bit too sloppy.
Yeah, I got to agree with you, Artosis. I feel like that one engagement at the bottom, definitely too sloppy. Maybe should have utilized drops. When the Protoss is taking his 4th, that's generally when the main base of the Protoss is the most vulnerable, especially because on that map, in that situation, they're both maxed. They actually literally cannot make any more units. The game will not let them. So in a situation like that, you drop the main, the whole army's got to turn around. Then you can use a small group of Marines and Marauders to stem, go in there and take out that expansion to 4th.
That's right, man. I mean, that big head-on bludgeoning attack that we saw from PuMa at the 4th base. It's 4 base versus 4 base. You're both doing really well. Your upgrades are all there. And then to just go ahead and attack into a small little choke area against 5 Colossus, a mostly Stalker army. If that was a mostly Zealot army, totally different, but a mostly Stalker army, and there's also Psystorm in there. So that was a rough engagement for PuMa.
And, during that engagement, he lost all the Vikings.
Yeah.
I believe it was still really good Psystorm, and I think an Archon hit it from the sky, but there were still 3 Colossi remaining. So, from there, he could keep on incrementing out Colossi, but, to catch up on that Viking count, I think he lost like 11 Vikings. Yeah. Something insane, so that was pretty bad. We're going to go into game number 2. You guys having fun? Me too.